Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Framing Podcast. And we are here today with Karlyn Percil, success coach, and more importantly, the teller of elephant stories. And we will get into more about what that means later on today. But before we get into the episode, I wanted to give a shout out to our listeners. This is a new podcast and I'm tracking everything like crazy. And I wanted to give a shout out to everyone who is in Virginia. I see you. 101 people have downloaded this podcast from Virginia. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Keep spreading the word, and we love you. Please leave a comment on our iTunes page. Just go in there, click, write a review, leave a little note, and maybe we'll give you a shout out live on air next time. So this week, we're getting into elephant stories, life coaching, success coaching for women. And my dear friend Karlyn is joining us today and very excited about it. So welcome. Thank you for being here.
Hey. Thank you for having me. It's so exciting to be in the Framing Podcast. I made it.
You made it. This is it. You can check this off your bucket list. Life can continue.
I know. Yes. Things just got better. Whole lot better.
So Karlyn, I'll start where I always start with everyone in these interviews. Where were you born?
Born and raised in a tiny village in St. Lucia called Baslaboui. And yes. And I was the only child, I don't know why, but I was the only child also who was born at home. So I was born in the lush vegetation of, my tiny little village in St. Lucia.
Cool. How many brothers and sisters do you have?
One brother, 4 sisters. And we grew that tiny little village. The reason why I used to be proud of, I was like, at least I was born in the hospital with quote unquote civilization, because our little village, there's no electricity, there's no running water.
Wow.
You're literally in the middle of a forest.
Wow.
And I remember telling my mom, well, at least I was born in the hospital and I was like, around, electricity and, stuff. And she's like, no, you were born at home. I'm like, oh, okay. But I reframed that story and I'm like, you know what? I was born in lush greenery and abundance and real organic
essence
air.
of nature.
The essence of nature.
True organic birth, home birth in the middle of nature. I'm like, this is where people want to get to. That's beautiful. And what did your parents do for a living and how has that influenced what you do today?
My parents were, my mom was a stay-at-home mom. She did sewing here and there, but my dad was a farmer. So we used to have, Tuesdays go for the banana, and it's the farm, literally tending the earth and toiling the earth, I should say. Wow. We had a few animals here and there, but not a lot. It was more, the income came from the bananas. My mom used to have a little garden with some grapefruits and oranges and that sort of thing. And there were a few stores and people that she used to supply. Yeah. So it came from that. It influenced me in the way of working hard for what you have and really appreciating every single thing that comes your way. Because my parents, if they did not take care, if my dad did not take care of his garden, of his bananas, the tree and the earth around it, he would not have a good number of boxes for him to go and sell.
Right.
So
the direct connection to finances and work and
Exactly. And prepping and harvesting the soil, right? Yeah. And taking care of it. So for me, what I took from that is resilience, persistence, just like there are no, I should say, shortcuts to success. There are no stairs. There are no elevators, all stairs. Yeah. And in some cases,
it's usually a backwards elevator, escalator. You have to
And in some cases, the stairs disappear because we lived, like I said, in a little village, and it's all mud around. But with my dad used to create the steps for you to walk. But if it rained,
wash that away.
And wash it all away. So I've learned to climb, but climb with caution. 1, 2, if there isn't a path, create one. Mm-hmm. And 3, that the people who have gone before you will always leave a path for you to follow. But if there isn't one, you have to create your own.
Yeah. Look, the life we have is giving us everything we need to get to where we need to. We just have to pay attention.
Everything. I always say our parents are our first philosophers, and the first self-help guru, or the first psychologist, or the first, I don't know what you want to call it, was Bob Marley. If you listen to the lyrics of his song, his lyrics has literally healed me in some cases, right? Because even when I moved from St. Lucia to Toronto, one of his songs, like, you're running away, but you can't run away from yourself. And that was actually my first inkling to my whole elephant story.
Wow.
Right? And that was that moment when I heard those words and it hit me in a place that I've never been touched before, like in the core of my soul. It literally changed my life.
Wow. And, just going back a bit to that, when did you come to Canada?
I moved to Toronto in 2003.
Really? So recent?
Yes, I'm like a newbie. I'm like a baby.
You just reached, you guys.
Just got off the plane.
You're fresh.
Fresh off the boat.
Fresh off the boat. You're still here. That's awesome. And what did you do when you first came to Canada? I know you worked at Scotia Bank for a number of years. What did you do there? What was your role? And how did that happen?
My roles have been my entire career in the banking industry in operations and technology. So up here, I worked in international banking as well, but more on the reporting and trend analysis side. And then I switched over to operations and technology, dealing with people, processes, and real estate. So I was very fortunate in the sense that I was still connected to home because my portfolio was the Caribbean and Central America. So I was still calling Trinidad. Nice. I had Cayman, St. Lucia. I had my peeps all over. I was very still connected to my Caribbean heritage. So I was responsible for our consolidation of our collection processes and units in the Caribbean. So that was one of my major projects that I worked on just before I left the financial industry.
Oh, cool. And you left that to be an entrepreneur. Like you stepped out, I know for years you were working on riding the two horses. And then I remember that day you called me like, Ricardo, man, I'm leaving. I'm like, congratulations. This is good. So,
thanks.
And today is actually a very interesting day. Today is the very first day that you don't even have a contract with them anymore, and you are 100%.
100%. Yes, because when I left, I registered my company. I had a client. I was fortunate enough to get a client, and that client, it was a good contract. And I think it's every entrepreneur's dream, right? You've got a contract where that money's coming in and you're good.
Life is good. This is it.
And I had that contract for a year. I did some amazing work with that client. And that contract actually, was finished yesterday, actually.
Wow.
So this is like my first day with, so what is next? What is going? Yeah. But one of the things and that's what I love about the whole process. And I love that you opened the podcast with the whole question of what did you learn from your parents that informed you? We learn from every single experience and junction in our lives. And one of the biggest lessons that I got and I learned from my experience in the financial industry, because I've done everything from opening a branch from scratch, like in St. Lucia, when they were opening a new branch in Rodney Bay, they were looking for high potential leaders to run it and, and to be a part of that. And everybody was like, oh yeah, Karlyn can do it. Let's get Karlyn in. Right. So
Karlyn never opened no branch. I can do it.
Totally do it. I've always been that person who's on the forefront of innovative ideas and never done before things, right? That was Karlyn. Even down to the collections, the consolidation of it. I built a system. I'm not a programmer, but I was doing my lunch and learning access database and creating stuff. Like that is me. You give me a problem, I find a solution to it and I make it happen, right? So for me, now transitioning, the one thing I can say that I'm really grateful for is I did have a routine working in the bank. I had total autonomy over my job, which was good, which is another way of saying that you had an ineffective, crappy boss. Or I try not to call not crappy, but and I tell people
it was a liberal, self-started type of environment.
Yeah, exactly.
It gave you ample room to do whatever you need to.
Exactly. And anybody who's listening to this, and if you're working full time and your boss is not what you want him or her to be, what Ricardo just said and what I just said, use ineffective bosses to your advantage.
Yeah.
because the building that I did while I was at Scotia, it's all because of that. Like, I wasn't being used to my capacity and potential. And the more I asked for more work, or I asked for more challenging assignments, I put my hands up. It's almost like people didn't see me. And I'm like, hold up. Like,
I can do this. I can do this. Yeah.
So all of that is serving me now, because I have different, like, for my routine, what time I get up. I'm part of Robin Sharma's 5 a.m. club. And I have just different strategies that I'm putting in place. But this is day one also. So, hey. We'll see how it goes, because I'm still learning what is the integration between business strategy and the creative work and the social. What is that pie? You know what I mean? Like, how many calls do I have to make a day? How many emails do I need to send out? Like, I'm still figuring all that out. So,
well, this is the beauty of entrepreneurship. There is no path. This is the forest, and it's like, yeah, there's stuff in there. Go get it. You know, and you're like, what? Right. So it's back to that very first thing that you said about when there is no path that's left for you, you go create one. And you leave a path for someone else, and you learn something, or you talk to people and you yell out and you say, hey, has anybody done this? Like, we were just chatting before, and you were like, yo, I'm going to start my podcast, Ricardo. I'm going to give you a call. I'm like, let me know. I'm like, I've walked a little bit of the path. I'm like, I'll let you know what happened. I'm like, do what you got to do. And I learned that from someone else, and someone taught me, and and it's passed that on. So it's, that is entrepreneurship. It's the creative person, I think, really excels in entrepreneurship, because you're designed to, and it's a natural for you to keep creating and making when things don't happen, when you need to get access to that database, or the rain falls and the steps are gone. You're like, yeah, I still got to get there. So it's not an excuse, or, well, I don't know what to do. I'm like, that doesn't work. That doesn't work in life. It doesn't work anywhere. There is no short path. Like, this is what you have. Like, let's make this work. So I'm really glad to see how you've connected and translated these experiences and stories in your life and turn them into things that are sort of power levers that you're using to catapult into different areas from life. How is that connected to your success planner? I know you have a book and a guide that people buy in the new year, and it's how to be successful. So tell me how that came about, and how this sort of experience that you're doing now.
That came about again because of I wasn't happy at work. I went through a period where I blamed everything and everyone, from my ineffective boss to, the people, the environment, all of that, in terms of why I'm not where I want to be and why I'm unhappy. Anxiety attacks, there days I can get out of bed, the whole 9 yards, right? And I got to a point where I called the employee assistant line. It's called EAP, and every huge organization, they have it. And if you have it, guys, freaking use it. It's there for you. Like, do not suffer for no reason. So I got I think it was a stress coach. So we did this whole stress thing, and I had a coach, and we talked about stuff. And what came out of that was understanding that I am responsible for my happiness, and nobody can give me that. Nobody can take it away from me, number one, and nobody can give it to me. And that led me to being more intentional with my time and my life. So for me at work, like I said, I did some amazing projects. I got to work with some amazing senior leaders. Like, I treated this bank like my life school, and I learned so much from them. Like, I used to look at strategies that the bank employs for its international operations, and I'm like, how do I apply that to my business?
Right.
How can I take this and now make this a strategy for me that will work for me? So one of the things that came up for me was like, yeah, I'm doing great work at the bank, but holistically, like for Karlyn, my soul wasn't on there. I just didn't have a great relationship with myself in terms of my self-love practice, my self-care practice, and the things that matter to me the most. Like, I had become one of those people who made work her life. Right. And I have also seen what that did to some people. They are like some of the most miserable people that you would ever meet in the workplace. So I started, going back to Success Leaves Clues, Tony Robbins, Robin Sharma, Oprah, Ariana Huffington, Brene Brown. These are some of my virtual mentors. And I follow them online, and I also try to implement their practices. So I'm like, if I'm getting all this inspiration and motivation from you, what am I doing with it? Because again, I'm kind of like in that get shit done mode. That's Karlyn. It's like, I have this. What am I going to do with it? Create something? Do something? Like, even so much so, I'm still learning. That's one of the things that my husband, he's like, babe, sometimes I just want you to listen. I don't need a solution. I'm like, oh.
No, I can fix it, though. I can fix it.
Right? I can fix it.
I could fix it. I know how to solve that. He's like, just listen to.
Right? Working on it. Right. So that led me to, okay, so here's what you do for the bank professionally. What are you doing for your health and wellness? What are you doing for your personal development? What are you doing for your financial goals? What are you doing for? So all of those things. So I took different parts of what I love. Oprah had a gratitude practice, and she's like, this is what helped me to continue building abundance. And I'm like, oh, Oprah's doing it? I'm doing it?
Like, I'll take that snap any day.
I created an Excel file, Ricardo, and I'm very crappy with Excel. It took me a couple of hours to get it done.
Okay.
I eventually asked a colleague at work here who was like, she was awesome with Excel. I'm like, can you make this pretty for me? She made it pretty. I turned it into a one-pager. And I've always been fascinated by the neuroscience and how the brain works, because one of the things I wanted to understand is my elephant story and how it's impacting me in the workplace, and how can I leverage that for me to be more successful.
No, we keep mentioning elephant stories. Tell people what that is. So an elephant story is likened to the idiom, the elephant in the room idiom, and basically it's an unfinished business. It's based on fear or shame, which are related. It's an experience or something that you have been through that you don't have full closure on. It's something that you haven't fully acknowledged. It's something that it's there, you know it's there, but you haven't fully dealt with it. What ends up happening is that when we don't own our elephant stories, it eats away at us. It actually feeds our insecurities and our fears, and it actually drains you every single day. So for me, even when I think of some instances at work, there were periods where I wanted to raise my hand and ask for more money, or to say, hey, I want to work on that high profile assignment, and I want to do, but my elephant story held me back. And you can have different elephant stories. I call it the CEP model. You can have a cultural elephant story. You can have an experiential one, which is something that you actually experienced. And it could be a perception. Like you have crafted a fictional story about yourself. That's not really true, but you have actually set your standard of who you are by that story, and you're actually living by that standard. You've created your own glass ceiling or your own glass cage.
You're created, exactly.
Like, this is where I feel comfortable. This is what I can do. This is it.
Right.
I do this. I don't do that. I'm not rock climbing.
I don't like, you know, one of the biggest thing? Oh, I don't like sushi. And I'm like, oh, really? Have you tried it?
Oh,
No, but I know I don't like it. And I'm like, the no's that you tell yourself that you haven't given the benefit of the doubt of, these no's actually show up in other areas of your life. They show up.
How you do anything is how you do everything.
How you do? Oh, I like that. Exactly.
It's like you saying no to sushi. I'm like, where else in your life are you saying no and you haven't even tried the sushi? Is it with your money? Is it in your relationship? Is it in your religious practice? He's like, I'm only doing this. I was just like, hang on. Is it your job? I'm happy in my job. I'm not doing anything else. Like, you're saying no to a lot of different areas. And when you start to look at it that way and peel those things back, you know, with the elephant stories, you start to realize that I'm just making it up, and I can actually live this full experience in life. That is,
you can live more. You can actually experience life more. But in some cases, it might be an actual. So for me, one of my cultural elephant stories that held me back at work was we were taught in the Caribbean to be a good girl, work hard, head down, and somebody will recognize you and give you a little pat on the shoulder and promote you.
I've heard that before a couple of times. It's like they will see you. I'm like, they will
see you. They're not going to see you. They're not checking for
Nobody
you. They
looking
don't care.
Nobody looking for you.
We're looking for you. But here's the thing. When we try to work against a belief system that we have literally built our lives on, there's a lot of shame and fear around it because you feel like you're doing something wrong. So the planner is also built on some of those principles and practices. How do you overcome your own internal bias? So in the planner, we have, for example, a permission slip. I give myself permission to raise my hand. Nice. And funny enough, when you look at the whole research around the neuroscience of the brain, just writing that down and acknowledging it, the minute you acknowledge the elephant in the room, the power shifts from the elephant to you. Mm-hmm. And now you're in the driver's seat and you are the ones making the decision. And you're making the decision not from a place of fear, but from a place of empowerment and a place of that big, bold vision that you have for your life. So the planner came about from me understanding that what are some of the areas you're holding yourself back, Karlyn? How can we overcome that? Because it's great to go to those conferences and listen to motivational videos, but if you don't put it into practice, if you don't every day create new mental models, challenge your brain to actually, and we use what is it now? 10% of our brain?
Yeah.
because the brain loves system. It loves patterns. So it will do the same thing. Go, take the cup, drink the coffee, or even you've heard the driving story. Some people are like, how did I get here? Because you're an autopilot. You're an autopilot.
There was another guest we had on the show, Dwayne Matthews, in an earlier episode, and he talked about, what it takes to be successful. And as he's coaching young kids in primary school, like, he has the system that he puts into place where young people at school under 10 put this system and practice it, and it's like they have wild success, regardless of their circumstances, money, where you come from, it doesn't matter. It just works. And the thing is, it's about consistency.
Yes.
And consistency is the key to success. Everything you're doing. You just do it, and do it, and do it, and do it. You get better, and you get better, and you get better, and you do it. Consistency. You don't even have to be good. You just have to consistently do it. And if you're good enough, you'll make it. Height. Yep. Like, let's say in basketball, you don't have to be the tallest person to win, but you just have to consistently practice and do things, and you'll get there. So he was saying consistency is something everybody's striving for. He said the funny thing is everybody's already consistent. The thing is, the stuff you're consistent at is giving you the results that you have.
Exactly.
And you're consistently doing them. Everyone's already consistent. So it's like being aware of what it is that you're doing and the results that you have, and are those in line with the goals and where you want to go. And if they're not, you got some choices to make, but don't think you're not consistent. You are.
That's true. Yeah.
And I was, it blew my mind.
Very valid point. Yeah.
Everyone's already consistent. I'm like,
we are.
That is
true.
I was like, what? Yeah, that was an incredible moment.
It's true. And that is why in the planner we have what I call monthly rituals, a tracker for it. Because Tony Robbins also talk about that. We become what we do, right? So back to that point of consistency, we are consistent in certain habits that is actually given as the output that we have today. Yeah. So in the planner, what one of the success rituals is that you can track what are the things that you do every day. What do you do every morning? Everybody's like, oh, I want to drink more water. What are you drinking in the morning? What's the first thing that you drink?
Grab a coffee.
And do you want to prime your brain for you to drink more water? So all of those different strategies that I have observed in other successful thought leaders, I have created a day planner that will now help people to track and build step by step those new success mental models. Because I tell people, if you do it, going back to consistency, if you do the things that are in the planner from the Gratitude Center, there's also a section for you to rewrite your why. What is your why? What is your bold aspect? Why are you here? Where are you going? Right? Because the brain is built on the negativity bias, and you will always default to that. That's its job. It's why your brain came in at level 1.0. That's its job. It's not going to try to go to level 2.0 because it knows level 1.0.
And it's happy.
Stay there. It's happy.
It's designed to keep you safe and small and protected and live in the cave. Do not go outside. You will die.
Exactly. If you go outside, you go in a group because then you have protection, right?
Do what everybody else is doing. Don't go by yourself.
Do what everybody else is doing.
Don't branch out. Don't raise your hand. Don't speak up. They will come and find you if they need you. Yeah. Exactly. And this is where we end up.
To get to level 2.0, you have to now create new strategies. You have to create new mental models, but you also have to be aware that your amygdala will kick in and you'll go into flight, freeze, and fight zone.
Yeah.
But then it's just an indication to tell you that you're trying something new. Use that fear for you to create new experiences and for you to continue building on the consistency.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a little, I've got messages from people. They're like, listen, your planner is just messing with me.
Yeah.
Good. It's shaking me up. And I'm like, that's good. It's good.
Good. I like to hear that. Because
I used to feel bad, though. Because I thought maybe I made it too complicated and whatnot until somebody told me, you know what? No, your planner is only for people who are ready to play bigger in life. It's only for that person who wants more out of life. So I was like, wait, so that means, I'm not for everybody. Okay, good.
Yeah, that's good. It's like, it's, it's amazing even in some marketing as we do branding and stuff with Wedge. And we tell people, like, you got to get so focused that it's for one person. And everyone's like, no, I have a big market. And I'm like, no, get this thing down to a zone where this is only for you if you're ready to play big in life. If you're not ready to play big, please swipe right and go to someplace else. There's a few links. You can just go get a regular one. It's a lot cheaper and it'll do the job for you. This is not for you. And the interesting thing that happens in marketing when you do that is that it becomes super attractive to people because they go, I am that person. everybody wants to be called to that higher
Wants
level.
to
Not
be that.
everybody. But the people that want to call to that higher level show up
Right.
and they share it and they tell people and it starts to take on
Right.
this life of its own. And you're talking about yesterday, you had this huge order and you were like, where did this come from? I'm like, yeah, people who want more in life will find it. They will search for it and they will
Yeah.
share it with people and that type of stuff. So it's, yeah, I love the specificity of things. I'm like, we need to go,
Yeah.
I like to call it the micro niche. Like, not just niche. I want to go like niche.
Right.
I want to be like,
Niche, the niche within the niche.
there's left-handed people who walk on this. You know, it's like, let's get super specific
Wow.
so that
Wow.
you get more power in that. Because when
Yeah.
the person who's showing, oh, I'm just looking for a planner to run my day, I'm like, well, this is not for you. Like, it's just clear and it's honest.
But it's
and
scary though. Ricardo. It's scary
powerful.
because you feel. But for us though, at the beginning, you feel, especially as an entrepreneur, you're putting something out there, you don't know how it's going to work. You know, you feel that fear of no. Let me just make it
a little
in case
wider,
it doesn't
a little
sell.
wider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then to your point though, then you realize no, actually, when you actually target the people it's meant for. And most importantly, it's about changing lives. And when I see people tell me, you know what, girl just sent me an email and she was like, I'm now realizing the power of my mind by using your planner. She's like, thank you for this. And I'm like, girl,
Tweet
that's
at
it.
me. Let me just say
That's-
that.
Oh, yeah, I'm getting better at doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's this. That's what it's about, because she is going to use this and it's going to transform her life. And think of the ripple effect in the future. Her entire future is now going to be different because of that, and who she's going to tell about it. And it's marketers like Seth Godin who would say, be that purple cow, be that different thing that everybody's going left, you go right, then you'll be the only one out in the field and you're going, hey, everybody. And then business flows in. So it goes against, again, that amygdala that you talked about, that lizard brain of nobody wants to be the mouse in the middle of the room. Because we're designed to go, oh, no, I got to get to the wall. I'm going to crawl along the hedge. At least I know nothing's coming from this side. I can only look this. It feels safer.
I'm safe.
It physically feels safe to stay in that box.
Yeah.
But here's the big trick in life. There's nothing in the room. So it doesn't matter where you walk. You could walk on the ceiling. You could walk in the middle. You could hang out. It's just as safe as the edges.
Yep.
But we feel like it's not, because our brain is like, get to the edges. There's going to be an eagle. So you never know. I'm like, who's coming? Who's looking? None of it ever happens.
The stories we make up and we tell ourselves, these are the most dangerous. And that's why even as an elephant storyteller, I get people to challenge the stories that they have written to themselves or they've told themselves. Because the minute you change your story, you change your script, you change your self-talk, you change your belief system, you change your outlook, and
Kaboom.
that's how you change your life. Yeah.
Right. Change your thinking, change your thoughts, your life. And people are like, oh, it's positive thinking. I said, it's not. You have things. Oh my God, there was stuff I would ask people years ago that I would be doing, like when I first started the self-discovery journey and all this other stuff. And it was, I'm going to challenge everything I know that I know is true. And I'm like,
powerful.
I was just like, okay, Ricardo, what do I know about myself? I'm like, what, what do I know for sure? I'm like, let's go find evidence to the opposite of that. You don't do this, or you don't do that, or this doesn't happen. Like, you can't make as much money as you did when you worked in corporate, working for yourself. And I'm like, let's see if, and those would be games I would play to myself. I said, okay, my goal this year is to make the same amount of money. See if I could do it from my house. And once I did that, I'm like, ooh, no, let's see if we could do that same amount of money in 6 months. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Then, let's see if we could do the same amount of money, a year's salary, in 1 month. I was like, what? So again, just challenging stuff. I'm like, I didn't think it. I'm like, I don't think it could be done. Like, I start off with, I don't think it could be done, but let's give it a shot. And I play full out. And I remember the time that we sent a proposal, and it was for over 6 figures, and it's for a 1 month contract. And I was like, holy crap! Like, I was losing it. I'm like, but we were playing with the numbers, huge spreadsheet, massive project, foreign country. It was like a big deal. And I'm like, I want to get this number to a point where I'm afraid of it. I'm like, I want to break this.
I love that.
I'm like, I don't think I'm going to get that money.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's how I'm like, okay, we got to get higher. I'm like, what do we add to this? What do we do? We switched stuff and we got at that point, and I went, yeah, I don't think they're going to do that. I'm like, okay, send it off. And we won that bid. And we were 10 times higher than the closest competitor. 10 times higher than the person in second place. And we won that bid. And unanimously, like, everyone was like, let's go with them. And we're like, well, okay. And they were like, yeah, fly out to the country. You have to be here on Friday. Like, get your crew, like, be out. And we're like, oh, we did the whole thing. It turned out to be amazing. But it's that notion of pushing past my own limitations and realize that everybody has limitations. And I'm like,
all do.
Why do I think that's the most I can make in a month, or how much this is worth? And I'm like, crank it up. I'm like, ooh.
And it sounds simple, but unlearning is one of the most powerful things that we can do as humans. And the amazing thing that happens with every time you challenge yourself is that you created new mental patterns and models. So you created a new script in here, which is where it matters the most, that tells you that you're new to threshold.
My new thresholds.
Your new threshold.
You can't tell me anything now. Yeah. You can't. It's like, oh, you're not worth that. I'm like, oh, I've been paid that. Don't worry about it. I've already
You're
made
just
that.
Not my client.
You're not my client. It's okay that I understand. I'm not for everybody. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when you start to push those areas in life, I see how that trickles out in relationships, where it's like, I now feel empowered to be able to say, I want the relationship of my dreams and I deserve that.
Exactly.
I want the partner of my dreams that is like, I want to just go, you're 10 in everything. And I'm like, I don't know if I deserve a 10 in everything, but I'm like, I'm going for it, because and you start living your life and you're living these things and you're like, you deserve everything you have. You deserve love. You deserve the money. You deserve the business. And like, it all starts to ricochet. How you do one thing is how you're going to do everything. I start taking that principle and start applying it to how you're going to eat, how you're going to work out, like all of it. I was like, I could do it. I'm like,
and that is how true mastery is achieved, right? Because the foundation of everything that we do, whether you're working corporate or you're doing your entrepreneurship stuff, your worthiness bank account needs to be the biggest. It needs to have the largest balance on your balance sheet.
Yeah.
Your self-love / worthiness bank account, if that is high, if that is up, if that is full, then you are on your way to ultimate success. Yeah. Because anything else, you might think you deserve it, but the minute you're in it and you actually start getting what you want, people start sabotaging. People start pushing people away. People start putting up walls, and people start
get sick. All of a sudden, you're sick. They can't talk.
Yeah.
Can't talk.
Yeah.
All those things.
We start pushing it away.
Yeah. The job opportunity shows up, and all of a sudden your car breaks down. You're like, you can't get there because no, it's way more money than you thought you deserved. You are not worth that much. They're gonna figure out that I don't know what I'm doing.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna go there and embarrass myself. Back to the wall.
Exactly.
So it's realizing that those opportunities and those things come up, and as entrepreneurs, those things are coming up hourly from clients, billing.
Secondly,
like in everything we're doing, like you're creating a product. You're doing a success planner, and you're like, will anybody buy this? But I'm gonna pour my heart and soul into it. Open it up. Say, anybody? Anyone? And and the sales start to come in and the market, and you're like, what? And you end up on television, and you're like, more like it starts to go.
I have yet to do. Everybody asking, how did you sell it? I'm like, I don't know. Social media, people, word of mouth. Yeah. Like, I haven't had time to sit and come up with marketing strategy, or anything like that, because it has taken a life of its own, which is great. But I also now have to take a step back and say, okay, what were the ones that really worked and all of that. So, but
go back and look at some stuff.
It's interesting to the minute you bet on yourself, you do not have a choice but to succeed, because you will actually become the person that you aspire to actually meet that goal. Yeah. Even if you didn't start off that way, you're becoming that person through the process of it all. You become that person.
I remember telling people years ago that I think it's physically impossible to think of something you can't do. Like, if you have an idea or something comes to you, that's yours, Notice I didn't come up with a success planner. You did. You get what I mean? That's like when those things come to you in the world, and as creatives, bringing those things, this whole podcast is about bringing creativity to life. Like, you had this idea, you were having these experiences, you were learning a lot, and you're like, what do I do with that? Like, that's when the universe is talking to you, go ahead, make this thing. And then you're like, it's like people just bought it. Like, because it's pure, and you're coming from this space of, I'm going to make this thing to help people. And then people saw it and went, hey, that looks like it'll help me. Because the intention is there, and it's real.
Yes.
So,
And I love that you said that when it's given to you, it's yours. And I think that's the biggest thing that creators need to understand, that if you are given something, it is your responsibility to birth it. Right? It is your responsibility to take it, because anytime we quiet or we ignore that thing that we have been given, not just the wall, it's actually a violent act upon self.
Say that again for me.
Anytime you ignore or you quiet that voice, that thing that you've been given to birth, and you ignore it, is a violent act upon self. And what I mean by that is, when we dishonor the gifts that we have been given, we're dishonoring ourselves. Because that act of dishonoring, it's like you're depositing tiny seeds of regret into your being.
Wow.
You're telling yourself that your voice don't matter. And that's the reason why a lot of us are afraid to trust ourselves. And I get it. Part of it comes from our childhood and our culture, in the sense that we have been taught and conditioned to trust, oh, the doctor said I have this. The teacher said I should do that. The principal said this and whatnot. We forgot that we are also supposed to be on that wall of authority. Karlyn is also an authority on Karlyn. And the only way for you to actually get into that essence of knowing this and trusting Karlyn is by actually acting upon the decisions that have been given to you. That is one of the biggest, and that is why when you get that intuition, that is why that is the conduit for us to learn to build trust within ourselves and trust within that awareness of our bodies and who we are.
So for people who aren't accustomed listening to that internal voice that it shows up and this is how it feels. Oh boy, I shouldn't be doing this. I'm in over my head. Like that's one of the symptoms of this thing. Like, how do you begin to trust something when you don't know the result? You don't know if it's going to work. How do you begin to trust that? For people who want certainty, and I want to know for sure, like, should I leave the job? Like, should I get into this relationship? Is this what I want in my life? Should I move out from home? Like, all of these things. Should I travel to a different country? How do you begin to trust yourself when you haven't done that before?
First off, throw certainty out of the window. The number one thing I say is to start being comfortable with being uncomfortable, because we have lived a conditioned life from the time that we were born. The radical person is the one who has the audacity to actually be the authentic version of who they are, and which means you're in the discovery phase, exactly what you said. I am starting to unlearn everything that I've learned. So the first thing I would say is start writing anything and everything that comes to you. You don't necessarily have to do something with it, but document it. Get it out of here and put it on here. We have 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. If you don't get those thoughts out of here, it will literally kill you.
Wow.
Do something with it. Right. There's something called the law of action. When you take action, it brings back, it's almost kind of like a boomerang. It brings you back something more. So the minute you take it out from here and let's say you write it down, or there's an inkling that tells you, I should send Ricardo an email just to say what's up, or talk to him about this, or go read this article. Do it. Just take the action on it, because the minute you do that, the next step will be revealed to you. Right. And you have to trust that if you get it, every opportunity or idea or burst of inspiration that comes to you, it also comes with the resources for you to actually fulfill it. But you do not see or get the resources until you actually take the step.
Right.
Kind of like the chicken and the egg thing.
Yeah. It's like driving from New York to California at night using your headlights. You don't see the whole road. You only see like 100 feet in front of you. That's it. But you know that there's going to be more road. You keep going and you keep going and you check your GPS and you do your stuff and you're like, okay, I'm going in the right direction, doing this, check, keep going.
Exactly.
And all you need to do is see 100 feet in front of you.
Exactly.
So what is the next step? And that's that notion that you talk about of the taking the action. You have that idea, you have that inspiration. That little voice says, hey, do this, check that out. This is the universe aligning you with your purpose, and you keep going, I don't think so. Why is my life so
violent act upon self? And
why am I going home and crying at night? Yeah.
Yes. You'll literally see your life disintegrate. And it has nothing to do with person in bad mind against you or people trying to tear you down. And
it's not your boss at work. It's not the thing.
It's not your boss at work. Nope. The biggest obstacle in your way is you. Bottom line. And I can tell you that because I was the biggest obstacle in my way. And I'm learning every single day to show up more for Karlyn, every single day to take chances on her. Like the one thing that came up for me, why I left my corporate job was it's time for you to bet on Karlyn 100%. You have all those ideas, and that's one thing I'm grateful for. Every single idea or thought I had, I documented it, Ricardo. Like this computer is just full of ideas and books, and like my book is halfway written. I started writing my book on Bay Street 3 years ago because every time something came, I jotted it down. Right.
I have.
And my forward for my book, funny enough, a year after we appeared on Oprah's Live Class, I actually know what my forward is for my book, but it came to me a year later.
Wow.
And I wrote it down. Right?
I get you. I like, because I always have these ideas and these thoughts, and I'm, talking to my wife, Chloe, and she's like, we got to write that down. She was like, where do you come up with this stuff? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just talking, and like it just comes out of my mouth. She's like, I have this sort of African proverbial way that I share things. I'm like, that is like a house that falls on the, like it's some weird thing, but it completely makes sense when I say it. And I started jotting these things down. I'm like, I'm just going to keep a little list. I checked it the other day. There were over 60 different phrases that I would say that relate to how I live my life and how I got to where I am today. And I went, I need to take each of these and expand on them as a chapter in a book and just, let's pull one up right now, and I'll tell you exactly what it says. We won't make it up. We'll actually look at the real deal. Oh, those are cool, but not those. 72. It's up to 72 now.
Oh, wow.
What's the cost of cheap?
It's big.
There's a price to cheap,
There's a price to chip.
There's
I
a
agree.
price.
Yeah.
And it's this idea that, you're using a computer. This is where all your stuff is. Do you buy the cheapest, most inexpensive, bottom of the line computer to store the thoughts for the rest of your life? Or do you go out and get yourself something that is worthy of that? A place that is sacred, a place that is solid, so that you can honor what it is that you're doing. Now, if you need, not everything has to be cheap, or expensive. Like some things like toilet paper or paper towels. Like, yeah, you want to go to the dollar store and pick up some things like that. But in some things where it's like, this is the thing I use to create my business. I need to invest in that. I need to invest in myself. I need to invest in my changing my thoughts and my ideas. I need to do personal development. That's the most, everywhere you go, you're there,
Yep.
So invest in yourself.
You're running. Bob Marley. I always go back to that quote, but you can't run away from yourself. And it's funny that you mentioned that because one of my product lines came out exactly from that. I used to get those daily thoughts and I just used to tweet them out. And then I started documenting them. And one of my products is actually, and I was just trying to find one of them. This is one of the cards in there. It's a deck of 365 daily affirmations. You can use them as action prompts. You can use it just as inspiration, or you can hand them to someone. So every day there's another quote, thought that you can just pull it out and you can just use it as
mail it to someone, give it away.
Get it to someone.
Take a picture, Instagram.
That would not have happened if I didn't have, because same thing with you. I was looking at them like, what am I going to do with this? And I'm looking at how many do I have? Oh, I have 280. Oh, really? I wrote that many?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Because they're 60,000 thoughts a day. You're not thinking, it's a lot. You're just thinking, yeah, I have these thoughts. I'm like, no, you have those thoughts. Nobody else is having those thoughts. Those are for you. And as you start to document, last time I looked at this, it was 54. Now it's at 72. Like, how did that happen? Don't ask me, but I could scroll through. And each of those is easily a chapter in a book. I can pull 12 of those out and write a chapter. And write a book. My book's done because I have 72 I can choose from. And it's like, what's the cost of cheap? Like, I could write 4 or 5 pages on that.
On that, exactly. And that in itself, you honoring that is also honoring Ricardo, because people don't understand the internal things, the prompts, the ideas, the thoughts that come up for us. This is an act of self-love. Mm-hmm. This is an act of honoring your purpose and your journey on this earth. This is why you're here. Because like you said, with those 60,000 thoughts, no one will have the same thought alike. None of us will.
Was it your
you
thoughts?
Were given, yes, that was your thought. You were given those thoughts for a reason, and your perspective on it is what will help people to now realize their own potential or their dreams, or to get started, to activate something within them. This is why it's important for everybody to live their dreams. I always say, if Oprah did not live her dream, I would be able to be on Oprah's live class. she didn't do her thing,
Yeah.
right?
It's the ultimate act of self-love
understand
is to live your dream.
is
And
to
to
live
go,
your
yeah.
dream. Yeah, to do that and to take action every single day on it. Every day. Yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions that are completely
Yes.
random. Sometimes it's choosing, like
Okay.
live or recorded. You just pick one. They don't mean anything. Sometimes it is finish a sentence. Today I
Okay.
had,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever's in your head is what you should say.
Comes out? Oh, boy.
Whatever's there, look out.
Because I'm so random. I'm so random. Okay. Oh, this is
Or
fun.
completing a sentence. Like there'll be a sentence with a word missing. You have to fill in the blank.
Okay.
So,
So I have to choose one of them? Or do we do all three?
no, I have like 350 of these because I kept writing them down years ago.
So you just, okay.
I'm going to
awesome.
ask you them, and then you will.
Okay.
It'll make
Yeah,
sense
ready.
once we get rolling.
Right.
So, bite or file?
Bite.
TV or movie?
Oh, movie.
Learn or teach?
Learn.
Fetish or phobia?
Fetish.
Hotmail, Yahoo, or Gmail?
Gmail.
Yoga or Pilates?
Yoga.
Do it now or do it later?
Do it now. Get shit done.
Actual or possible?
Actual.
Dog or cat?
Dog.
Boy or girl?
Girl.
Girl or your husband?
My husband.
Your husband or your mom?
My mom.
Fold or pile?
Pile.
I don't think anybody's ever picked fold in that one. Everyone is like, should I be honest about this? It's going to be pile.
It's pile.
It's going to pile. Like, this is what's going to happen. Salt or pepper?
Pepper.
Donald or Daffy?
Daffy.
Tupac or Biggie?
Biggie.
Subway or highway?
Subway.
Kink or straight?
Kink.
Sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise.
Noon or midnight?
Midnight.
Cashmere or software?
Software.
Batman or Bat Boy?
Batman.
Titanic or Hindenburg?
Hindenburg. Because I don't know what it is.
They're both two big ships that like crashed. One burnt and one went down in the ocean.
Oh, okay.
It's like they're both bad. Like, what do I choose? So, couple fill in the blanks for you. I learned blank from my last relationship.
I learned blank from my last relationship. I learned what I wanted from my last relationship. What I really wanted.
Everyone should read
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
I Want to Be Less
Impatient.
and I Want to Be More.
I want to be more patient.
I can't stand it when people
Sneeze without doing it in the nook of the elbow. The proper way to sneeze. Such a pet peeve. Sneeze properly. Thanks.
have you ever quit?
I don't think of myself a quitter. I've gotten up from the table when I'm no longer being fed.
I watch a lot of...
Oh my gosh. Chef's Plate. Those kind of, I'm kind of hooked.
I wrote a letter to...
My younger self.
Oh, cool. What else could we have on here? This is pretty cool. These are some very good answers. Cool. I'm like, these have never been done before. What is your favorite smell?
Incense. I'm burning like a lemongrass one right now, and I love it. Lemongrass.
Who was the last person you sent a text message to? You can look.
I sent a text message to, I think it was the birthday girl. Oh, no. She sent me a text. But the last person I sent a text to was, Ricardo. I'm like, who did I? Wait,
what's going on? That's hilarious. 25 or 35?
Oh, 35.
What's your favorite dessert?
Used to be tiramisu, but now it's any like sorbet or Italian, what's it called? Gelato. But the tangy kind of like tart one.
Sing or dance?
Gosh, I'm bad at both. Dance.
So Karlyn, for the people who want to get in touch with you, find out more about the Success Planner, your live Sister Talk retreats, which you're doing soon, which is going to be with men as well for the first time, and also the elephant stories, finding out more about that. How can people get in touch with you and find out more?
People can find out more on my website, karlynpercil.com. And look out for a live Sister Talk event in June at the Spoke Club. And we will be having men talking about the elephant in the room on vulnerability, shame, and love. Ooh, so that one I'm very excited about.
That sounds exciting.
And uncomfortable, right?
Very uncomfortable.
That's my mantra.
Especially in public. This is going to be...
Let's live life uncomfortable. Let's experience life differently. Actually, a big thing that I'm doing right now is called Indulge. And I'm challenging my clients and the people in my circle to experience life using the 5 senses. So if you always, for example, Ricardo, if you always drink your coffee every morning, I want you to use a different sense to drink it. I know you usually use your sense of taste. What does your coffee smell like, or what does it sound like? Like, experience life differently. One of the things that I'm doing is also, as you can see, I've been drinking my water in a wine glass. Like, who said we needed to have regular glasses for water?
I'm with you.
I do my lemon water in a wine glass. So just different things that you can do to experience life differently and to put yourself, like, start training your amygdala to be okay with different things. And there are little things that you can do every day for that. So visit my website where I have a couple of videos from my last, there's a spring cleaning challenge, my last appearance on Cityline. There are a few things that if you really want to change your life and get unstuck, come see me. I'm your girl.
Nice. Beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, Karlyn Percil, the elephant storyteller.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here.